Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Father-Son Packers podcast, your source for Packers news, notes, and analysis. We are coming to you a day later than usual, you might notice, because we wanted to be able to talk a little bit about the trade deadline here with the NFL, in addition to talking a little bit about, unfortunately, that game against the Vikings. We don't want to talk about it. We know you don't want to hear about it, but we got to. I am here, one of your co-hosts, Tommy, joined as always by my co-host, my dad, Matt. Dad, how you doing?
It could be better, but it was a fun Halloween. I had a great day. You know, there was no Packers on. Went for a hike, looked at the ocean, set up Nightmare before Christmas for Halloween trick-or-treaters, and sat outside and gave out candy. So, no football.
Sounds like I was gonna say. That sounds like a win.
It was a great day.
It has, yeah. That does sound like a great day.
Other than that, we can talk about the red hot pokers we stuck in our eyes while we watched this Packers Vikings game.
By the second quarter, I was pretty much ready to, because man, oh man, we know everyone has already talked about it to death, but we're here to give our 2 cents. Packers lose 24-10.
I think this game only deserves a penny.
Yeah, and I'm here to tell you. I'm here to tell you it was not that close. It was not that close. But we got a lot to talk about. Like we said, we wanted to do this episode a day later than usual so we'd be able to capture the action at the trade deadline. And it's a good thing we did, because we have 2 pieces of news. The first one is trade deadline related, and that is that the Packers have traded corner Rasul Douglas to the Buffalo Bills. Rasul Douglas and a 5th will be going to the Buffalo Bills in exchange for a 3rd rounder. So essentially, they're trading Rasul Douglas to move up 50 picks in the 2024 draft, and then they will also have some cap relief next year, getting like $6 million off their caps, off the cap next year. About Dad,
you heard what I said about that.
What'd you say about
that? $6 million is a mystery box.
Yeah, it's true.
It could even be Rasul Douglas.
I mean, I think that $6 million is let's get under the cap. I think they're going to be over still next year. I think they still got to clear some. But, Dad, what I wanted to ask, is this the worst secondary in the NFL now? So I'm just going to read it off to you. Jair Alexander is clearly not 100%. He struggled mightily to guard Jordan Addison in this game against the Vikings. He's been dealing with a back injury the last few weeks. We learned it happened in practice. Then you got Eric Stokes is on IR. He's not going to play for at least another 3 weeks. Darnell Savage is on IR. He's not going to play for at least another 3 weeks. So you're trotting out, and Rasul Douglas now in Buffalo. They're going to be trotting out Carrington Valentine, Keyshawn Nixon, and then either a hurt Jair or Corey Ballantyne. And then on the back end, it's going to be Owens and Ford. So is this the worst secondary in the NFL now, after what we thought it was going to be a strength coming into the year?
Honestly, Jair should be on IR.
Yeah, he doesn't look right at all. Like you can't tell me he's healthy after he goes out there and he can't guard Addison in that game.
He tried, they just blow right by him, and he can't even turn and run downfield.
He can't run. He can't turn. Like his back is. It is helping no one to have him out there right now.
Right.
It's not helping anyone.
You might as well put him on IR. There's no sense in having him out there, because he's no better than your deep bench players right now. So you might as well get somebody healthy, get him healthy, so that you can get something out of him, because they're not getting anything now.
I think he was targeted 3 times for 3 catches for 50 yards and a touchdown in this game. And so it's just like, we know Jair's better than that. And what's the point of putting him out there where he might end up injuring himself some more in games that, let's be honest, do not matter. The Packers are bad.
Not anymore.
And we've talked about this. The Packers,
Jair wasn't targeted 3 times. He was targeted 7 times.
Oh, was this? Oh, those might have just been the Addison numbers. Sorry, that's what I meant.
Maybe just Addison. Yes.
It was just Addison. It was I should have clarified that. Yeah, just Addison. 3 targets, 3 receptions, 50 yards, and a touchdown. But what was I going to say? Oh, I'm ready here today to make some bold proclamations, and one of them is that I think the Packers might be the worst team in the league, and we're going to talk about that. And I have a lot of ranting and raving to do, but until we get to that, I just want you listeners to think about this. How many teams in the NFL would have extra rest coming off Thursday Night Football? And I think Andy Herman might have said something similar to this, but have extra rest coming off Thursday Night Football and play the Raiders, then have their bye week and play the Broncos, and then play the Vikings, and lose all 3 of those games. I think the Packers have lost 4 in a row. I think that's tied for the longest active losing streak in the NFL right now. Even the Panthers won last week. The Bears just blew out that Raiders team by 30 with Tyson Bagent. So what are we doing here? But yeah, so the only positive, though, that we have, Dad, is there anything else you wanted to say about the Rasul Douglas trade? I know you didn't love it, right?
I mean, what they got back for him seems pretty small to me for a starting corner. I agree that Rasul is a starting corner in this league.
Yeah,
and they have him for, and it's not just this year. They have him for next year too,
and a pretty good starting corner. And it's not like that 3rd round pick is going to be an early 3rd. That is a late 3rd. That's like a barely top 100 pick.
I saw somebody like the amount of places you're actually moving up is like the equivalent of a 7th rounder.
It is kind of wild how they barely got a top 100 pick and had to send a 5th back, which is wild.
Why did they have to? Who's negotiating this deal if they had to send a 5th back? Maybe a 7th, but a 5th for a pick that we know we're going to screw up?
That's true. I was like, honestly, the Packers would probably get a better player with that 5th round pick than they're going to get with this 3rd that they're getting. But I understand.
I mean, what are they Enigbare, Sean Ryan.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Exhibit A. And then, what is it? The 5th round was, oh goodness, this past year. Dontavian Wicks, Tucker Kraft. That's another one. Kingsley Keke, Jay Sternberger. We can keep going. We can keep going. But no, it's not good. And yeah, no, I agree. The more I think about it, it's like the Bills.
I'm really hoping.
Can I just say the Bills? The Bills this past week were trotting out Josh Norman at corner.
I saw.
You're telling me you couldn't turn the screws like anymore? Like they're desperate. Right. They're the ones who should be desperate. You couldn't turn the screws on Buffalo?
And they want to compete for a Super Bowl this year.
Yeah.
They think this is their chance. And so they should be desperate.
And you couldn't
How desperate were you to unload him?
Yeah, and you couldn't turn that desperation to your advantage at all? Like, come on. You can say, he's a little older, fair. He's only got like a year left on his contract, sure. But I think you could have at least gotten them to bid. The Bills are desperate. They have terrible corners. They're trotting Josh Norman, who's 36 years old out there, who hasn't been good in 3 years. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's longer than that.
But I'm fine with the concept of trading Rasul Douglas. I'm fine with that. But I agree. I don't see how they couldn't get more back.
How did they get so little? This is the thing that boggles my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm just
hoping they take their 2/3
and do something else
away for something.
Don't make those picks, please.
Maybe they can get a late second for 2/3 or something.
No, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, the other piece of news that we had, which is actually good news, is that Rashan Gary got an extension, which is very exciting. 4 years, $96 million in new money. It's going to keep him in Green Bay quite a while longer. That's the only bit of good news we've gotten in pretty much over a month, I would say, for the Packers. So we'll take it. But Dad, exciting stuff, I guess. We got to celebrate the wins when we get them, right?
Yes.
That's all you got is yes.
That's all I got is yes.
Yes,
let's
we
celebrate.
Do. Right.
They got it done. They didn't drag it out. You could say that, okay, they waited long enough to see that he's playing well.
Yeah.
And so
didn't want to let it get to
$28 million.
Yeah. Didn't want to let it get till the summer, was what I was going to say. Didn't want to have to deal with, bidding against him against other people in the market.
If he got to the open market in March or whatever, it could have been $29 million.
Yeah, I think it's top 5. I think it's the 5th highest edge contract or something like that, which I think is reasonable.
Like that.
This is very reasonable for Gary. But yeah, good extension. I think good for player and team. Excited for him for going forward. Not excited for a whole lot else going forward, though, Dad. Let's talk about this game. We've put it off long enough. I'm sure everyone is tired of listening to it, but if you want to hear...
looking to talk about anything else, but...
Yeah, I'm sure everyone else is tired of hearing about it, but if you want to hear some people rant and rave, you're about to hear some people rant and rave because this team looks pitiful, incompetent, lost, bad. Just bad. This team is not good. The Packers lose 24-10, and like we said earlier, it should not have been that close. We'll talk a little bit about the game breakdown, but let's just at least start with the injury report where the Packers do have some other good news at least. Josh Nijman, who came in for a benched Rasheed Walker, was the only player who had to leave the game with an injury in this game. He left with a foot injury late in the game. According to him, he got hurt on the kick block. But it does sound like it doesn't sound like it's going to be too serious, apparently. But all I have to ask is, at this point in the game, Josh Nijman had come in as your left tackle on offense. Why is he still on the kick block unit if he's your starting left tackle?
Why don't you put Love out there in the kick block unit?
Yeah.
What the heck? He's tall.
Why not? Yeah, I was going to say.
He's tall, he's got big hands.
Well, the thing is, I understand perfect. Nijman has a block on a kick this year. And so I understand when he's the sixth guy and he's not playing that much, hell yeah, have him on kick block. But when you have pivoted to having him at the left tackle because you think that gives you a better chance of winning, because I agree. I think that Nijman is better than Walker. Once that move happens, Walker, get out there on kick block, buddy.
Out there.
You're the sixth lineman now. Any of the starting five should not be on the kick block unit. That does not feel like it should be that complicated. Right. I get that Nijman is bigger. I get that Nijman is way bigger and has a better chance. But if he's one of the starting five linemen, I don't want to see him taking.
Pretty tall too.
He's not big.
He's
like
not
Nijman,
6'7".
Nijman's
but isn't
huge.
he like 6'5"?
Yeah, but Nijman's 2 inches taller and has a way bigger wingspan, I think.
But anyway,
but
the name on that unit should be number 6. It shouldn't have a person's name. It should be 6OL.
Yeah, or just put a D lineman out there. There's no reason to have one of your starting five. I have a lot of gripes with Pistachio right now, and we'll get to when we get to special teams. But let's get into the game breakdown, Dad. Play of the game, biggest moment of the game. We do this by ESPN win probability, so the play that shifted win probability the most. And that was the 3rd and 1, 23-yard completion to TJ Hawkinson near the end of the first quarter. That was on a 3rd down, and it took the Vikings down to the 4-yard line, if I remember correctly. And it swung the Vikings win probability from a 64.7% chance of winning to a 72.9% chance of winning, which is good for an 8.2% swing. And the reason there weren't any other big swings in this game is because I don't think that win probability dropped below 78 the rest of the game.
It's higher. But yeah, I was expecting it to be the interception, but I think the win probability was already in the 90s.
Oh yeah. So it
it wasn't going to change much.
They had watched enough of the Packers play that game to know that the odds of them pulling that one out was low. But yeah, so that is the win probability. Dad, do you want to talk about offense first, defense first? We're going to talk about special teams last. Or do you just want to do a general rant about coaching? Because I think in the last 2 games, my eyes have been open to the fact that the coaching on this team is abysmal. You got, if I could just spiel a little bit, you got guys.
Go ahead, spiel, because you can talk about any level, any group on the team in this.
You got coaching wise, play calling wise, you've got shotgun runs on 3rd and 1, which have been just making me so irrationally angry for the better part of 5 years now. We don't do anything under center. We'll talk about that later. And I think that was by design in this game, and maybe, but there's still room for it on those 3rd and 1s. And then on that 3rd and 1, you got players. This is just one example, but this is the 3rd and 1 handoff to AJ Dillon that he got stuffed in the backfield. You got the center going away from the nose tackle and not blocking him. You got the right guard going away from the nose tackle and not blocking him. You got a D tackle who almost is so confused that he doesn't even get off field, which it almost worked. That might have worked.
That was the big brain strategy.
Yeah,
he's gonna be so confused he won't know what to do.
You got the left tackle not blocking anyone, and you got Christian Watson getting blown up by a DB or the man on the edge or whoever it was. I think it was a defensive back. You got scenarios where players on supposed RPOs. Now, probably Love was the one that was wrong, but no one's running a route on what Love thinks is an RPO. You got Matt LaFleur has them with 7, and PFF has them with 4, but either way, you got like at least 6 drops on this game that I could track from the young receiver core. You got players, you got DeGuara whiffing blocks constantly. I haven't seen him make contact with a defender in 3 weeks since the bye. I have not seen this man make contact with a defender. I'm at my wit's end, Dad, with the execution on this team right now. And we're going to talk about offense, defense, special teams. But do you want to rant a little bit? Because it's just, we need to get it out.
So
we need to just get
it out. The old line. How do you feel about the players' execution?
I'm in favor for it. I'm in favor of it. Yeah, that's the classic, the classic joke. But the execution on this team it's so bad. It's so bad.
People don't know what they're supposed to do. There seems to be always somebody in the play who's got it wrong, running the wrong route, the wrong blocking assignment, or dumb penalties.
The Packers lead the
penalties.
Now lead the league in penalties. At one point in this game, they had 59 yards of penalties and 19 yards of offense, and this was they had 1 possession left in the second quarter to go. Like, oh my goodness. They are the most undisciplined. I've never seen a team where it seems like every other play, players aren't sure what the play is. How does that happen this often? And we talked about this offline before we started recording this episode. I think we were saying since Hackett left, and I know Hackett has had struggles other places, but since Hackett has left, no one on this coaching staff seems to be able to teach. That's the biggest thing, I think. None of them know how to teach the players how to either get better, like with their fundamentals and just general skill, or to teach the scheme, or to teach the plays. No one knows what the plays are supposed to be. No one knows how to execute. No one knows what their assignment is. It's coaching. It's terrible. Everything is horrible.
And it's like every position group, too. Yeah. You got offensive linemen, you got tight ends, wide receivers. And maybe the running backs know what they're supposed to do.
I get
quarterback.
I get that they're young, but I know there's the counter argument is like, hey, when you have one young player, he's making this many mistakes as each of these young players is individually. It just, you don't notice it as much because it's covered up by all the veterans. Problem is the Packers have only young players, and so all these mistakes compound on each other, and so you end up with this absolute mess of a team. But it has to be better than this. It has to be. Like the counter argument to that is, well, the reason that happens on other teams is those young players don't get as many reps. There's tons of reps out here. No one's getting better. They're getting worse every week. They are getting worse every single week. And let's start talking about the offense, Dad. I got nothing good to say. I know we usually have one good thing, one bad thing, or like a few good things, bad things. I got nothing.
I saw where you're under good things. You've got NSFW.
Yeah, I got absolutely nothing. Who effing knows what the good things are in this offense right now? This is a quote from Zach Thomas per Ryan Wood on Twitter. This is what they're saying. Quote, "We have the talent. We have the pieces we need. We've shown every game this year we can move the ball. It's just about doing it consistently, and we're not doing that. We're putting our defense in tough positions. It's just about coming out ready to play, and I don't know if we're always ready to play. Obviously, it's showing up. We're not ready to play. And I couldn't put it better myself. They are not ready to play. The slow starts continue. They have been outscored 73-9 in the first halves of the last 5 games.
And I put that 100% on coaching.
Yeah, 100%.
It is the coach's job. It's the coaching staff's job to have the players fired up and ready to go at the beginning of the game.
73-9. This game, open up. And this is a division opponent. You should know their tendencies. The Vikings don't have a very talented defense. You come out. 3 plays, 4 yards, punt. 3 plays, 4 yards, punt. 3 plays, -3 yards, punt. 3 plays, 1 yard, punt. The first 4 drives, you amass 6 yards of offense. You move the ball 6 yards. And they committed I think 4 or 5 penalties in that stretch. And it was delay of game, holding. And it's just I get
but let's look at how they torpedoed those drives because it's everybody and it's so first possession. What looks like a good play, penalty downfield, illegal downfield.
Yeah, that was Rashid
third
Walker downfield, but that wasn't Walker's fault. But it was
right. It wasn't Walker's fault. It was just kind of they screwed up everything. Third down and really short. They forget to block the guy who's standing right where they want to run the ball.
Yeah.
You and I were talking about which one of them was supposed to block it. Probably both.
Well, what blows my mind is, can we just rewind back to that RPO where no one knows what that is the third play of the game. The opening drive is scripted. You practiced it all week. What I would not give to be a fly. What are they doing in the meetings every week?
And the other reason why that should be like completely known what they're going to do, because it's 3rd and 1. The whole playbook is open, so they get to choose what they want. They're not forced into a play that they don't want.
Yeah,
and then their second possession, doink off Jones's helmet, dropped by Musgrave. So they got 2 drops that torpedo that one. They got missed blocking assignments at torpedo number 1, and then I think in the third one, that was a penalty killer for that one, and a sack.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so bad, and I don't even.
But every possession, it's something else. So that's another reason why you say, oh, it's not just like they can't do this one thing; they can't do anything.
Yeah, the third one wasn't a penalty killer; it was a sack.
Well, there's a sack and then a penalty after.
A sack and then a delay of game on 3rd and 17. Yeah.
Right, to make it 3rd and 22. Yeah.
As if it wasn't impossible enough as it is. And then
why don't you think we can get 3rd and 17? Just because we can't get 4 yards on an entire drive?
And then the 4th drive where they only had 1 yard was the holding on Runyon on a 5-yard run that would have made it 3rd and 1. Instead, 2nd and 16. So it's just like, just doing nothing right. Just doing absolutely nothing right. And it's never just one thing. There's no fix. There is no fix. Everything is bad.
There is no fix because everything is bad.
Yeah, everything is bad. And we could talk some more about offense. We talked about the drops. We talked about that being the 3rd play of the game. I mean, so this is an interesting stat from Derek Klassen on Twitter. The Packers went under center in this game on just 4.8% of snaps, which is the lowest under Matt LaFleur, which is lower than any game with Rodgers, who hated playing under center mostly, would prefer playing shotgun 100%. Like, they did nothing under center in this game.
I don't understand that.
And I think someone was saying...
We were thinking there's going to be more under center this year than in the past.
And someone was saying they wanted to, lean more heavily into RPO, I think, from shotgun. And it's like, yeah, I guess. They have been not using RPOs enough, but when they try to use an RPO, no one runs a route. So maybe they shouldn't be doing it. I don't know. It's
we just have to play this team could do maybe this team could do student body left and student body right and cut everything else out of the playbook. Except of course they can't run block anybody.
Yeah. And, don't you've already forgotten the first part of the year where they couldn't run outside without losing 6 yards? They can't run outside.
Oh, that was a good way to get behind the chains fast. One sweep.
And apparently they can't run between the tackles either because no one blocks the nose tackle. They cannot do anything right. This team might be the worst team in the league. And it's bad because it's they're not the worst defense in the league. They're not the worst offense in the league. They're the worst first half offense in the league, but they're not overall the worst offense in the league. They're not the worst special teams in the league. They're not good special teams. They're just allergic to playing winning football. Allergic to playing complimentary football. It's the defense forced a fumble, and you have the ball at the 15, down 2 scores with 6 minutes left, and if you score, it's a 1-score game, and you got a chance. Nope. You're not going to do anything with that. Nope, not going to do it. It's just so bad. It's you're playing the Broncos, and you took the lead in the 4th quarter, and the defense needs to just stop the Broncos from kicking a field goal, and you win. Nope. Broncos go down the field, kick a field goal. Packers lose. It's just continuous. It's continuously just getting kicked in the nuts. It's so awful to watch. The offense is way worse than the defense, but the defense isn't any good. So I don't want people getting that misconstrued. The defense is terrible too. They just have had really good red zone luck so far to keep some of these scores close. But yeah, Dad, talk about the offense. I've talked enough.
Okay.
I'm so worn out.
I'm finding something nice to say. Well, sort of. we talked about it. That's the throw by Love to Reed while being tackled was a great play.
That was a great play. And the throw on the RPO, the
throw on the RPO was a great scramble. It was a great scramble to avoid the tackle, and then a fantastic throw down the sideline, and a great catch by Dobbs on a play that didn't count. So one of the great things is a play that didn't count.
So emblematic of the Packers. It's like their best plays are plays that don't matter. They don't count. That's their best plays. Their best offense is the second halves of games when they're practically out of it. It's like when they've just screwed around for, I guess they're not out of it. A lot of these games they end up making close. But the second half when like most of the time it should have already been too late. It's like, sorry, go ahead though.
Yeah, they had that Dillon actually had a pretty nice pass catching game. He led the team in receptions with 5. He had his highest yards per route run on the season. He had his most receiving yards on the season. And he had the second highest rating when targeted for the season. So QB rating when he's targeted for the season. So he's had 2 good receiving games back-to-back. So, and good, by good I mean probably like a little bit above average. We're not talking elite here.
And statistically, we're about to get the November bump. We already got the October bump. We might just get another bump in November. We might win a game. Who knows? Somehow we're favored this weekend.
We'll start winning games when it gets to the point where we'd rather not.
That hurts.
You know we'll win like
so bad because you're not wrong.
We won't win any games until like the last 2 weeks of the season.
No, the last week we're going to come down to Packers and Bears, and we're each going to have.
It will be Packers. It will be Packers and Bears.
We're going to have each exactly. I know we're going to each have 3 wins, and the loser's going to get Caleb Williams, and we're going to somehow win. We're going to somehow win that game.
We'll win that game, and we'll end up with a 3rd pick.
Yep. Yep. I can already see it. It's already amazing. I'll still be rooting for the Packers to beat the Bears, but I know it's going to hurt because it's going to have bigger ramifications. But I can never knowingly root for the Packers to lose to the Bears. I just can't do it. I just can't do it. But yeah, offense. It's just what do they work on every week? And Matt LaFleur said today or yesterday that they're going to shake up what they're doing during the week, Wednesday to Saturday. And it's a little late. It's a little late for that.
That's what I'll say. It's about time.
So you're telling me up until now you've been doing the same thing every week? That's what you're telling me?
I'm just going to keep hitting myself in the head with this hammer until things change.
It's like you're telling me that losing to the Raiders, having your bye and losing to the Broncos, and you were like, "This is like we trust what we're doing here. We're going to keep doing this." But now,
has anybody? How long has it been since we've heard "trust the process"? Trust the process.
Oh,
why?
Man, it's so bad. It's not. The problem is,
and I've got more bad things to talk about that you haven't that you didn't touch on. You finished your bad things. I got more. I got more bad things to talk about in the offense.
Yeah, this team is bad. You got a lot to talk about. Get it all out. I know the listeners want to feel this. You got to feel this pain. You got to accept it and feel it.
We are not here. We are here to talk about what the game really is, and not just to make you feel better. Sorry, listeners.
It makes me feel better to rant. I don't know if it makes any listeners feel better to listen to me rant, but it makes me feel better. I feel better yelling.
We're here for the catharsis.
Yeah.
So, contested catches, 0 for 7 today, including giving up an INT on one of those contested catches where Reed just got ripped out of his hands.
Yep.
Immediately after Minnesota scored to really kind of put some nails in the coffin for that comeback. For the season, and so it wasn't just Reed, it was actually everybody in this game, but for the season now, Watson is 0 for 8 on contested catch chances. After last year being 9 for 12. So I know people talk about, well, he can't play football, he can't make a contested catch, he never does it. Last year, it wasn't just the long touchdowns that you could say, okay, that's an unsustainable way to have production. He was 9 for 12 on contested catches last year. Now he's 0 for 8. This is not good. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it's statistically almost like an impossibility to go from that to this.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, these aren't 50-50 balls. We're learning so far this season, these aren't 50-50 balls.
Like 10-90. We got like a 1 in 10 chance of coming down with these.
You know the other thing about pass catching that's not good?
What else?
When A.J. Dillon is your only pass catcher who had an above-average receiving grade.
Yeah. And like I thought Reed did some good things. I thought Reed did some good things in this game, but I think that he should have caught the one that was picked. And he had another drop. I thought that Wicks showed some good moments in this game, but he drops a really easy third down ball that they could have scored a touchdown, made it a one-score game, just drops it right down the middle, like right at the 5-yard line. Dobbs had a drop. Watson had multiple drops.
I've got those like. So we talked about the mental errors and missed blocks already. The pass plays that should have been positive but fail. They're always once again there are a bunch of those. 4 drops on the targets. Bad drop by Wicks where that could have been a score or a first and goal inside the 5. When they had a chance to cut it to 1 score. Back-to-back drops by Jones and Musgrave. We mentioned a kill drive too. Off-target throws by Love again. Some overthrows on deep balls again. Off target to Dobbs to the right in the second quarter. Off target to Reed in the flat after the long pass.
We got it.
So there's off target throws. There are drops. They're running the wrong route. There are missed blocks. There's everything. It all sucks.
It's
generally abysmal deep passing. Let's talk about the deep passing because it's not just a potpourri of poop-pourri.
And the thing is, like, they need to have the Packers, they need to throw downfield because we saw in the Broncos game, when they just tighten up, they're not doing anything anyways. And when they open it up in the second half, they can move it. But the deep passing is still incredibly inefficient.
Oh, it's abysmal. I think the only function the deep passing is performing right now is to make it easier to get a few yards on those intermediate passes.
I think it opens up the middle of the field.
It opens up the middle.
That's the only place I think we're hitting anything right now.
Right. And so if you don't even try it, even though it fails, all you get is 2 yards per pass. Like they did against that was the Bronco game, right?
Yeah, that was the first half of the Bronco game.
So for the season, sorry. For this game, passer rating of 31 on passes over 10 yards for Love. I also feel like he still seems to like throw these long, slow floaters every once in a while that gives the defensive back forever to come back and break it up. Like there's one where he had to Wicks on the left side in the second quarter that the safety can come from like 30 yards away and knock it away or have a chance to pick it.
He's not playing with fundamentals right now. He is like super hoppy at the backs of his drops. He's throwing off one leg. He's not throwing off of a sturdy platform. Like this is like those last 2 McCarthy years where Rodgers was just like playing with absolutely no technique and was just yucking the ball around.
Well, one of those years he had a tibial plate plateau fracture.
I know.
But
I know.
Yeah. So also Love is for the season. He's 32nd in the league in passer rating on passes over 20 yards. And with a rating of only 36 among 34 qualifying players. And he's only so you say, well, that's all the drops. Well, he's 20th in drops, so he drops on his own merits. He falls down from 20th to 32nd. And there's been pressure. He was pressured 13 times today and had a passer rating of only 44.9 when he was pressured. And then let's think about just the general offensive ability, unable to capitalize on chances. So it's like the complementary football. It's like when the offense scores, the defense can't get the stop. When the defense makes a stop, the offense can't get the score. Field goal miss, 4 yards, no points. Fumble recovery, 0 points. Blocked field goal, 0 points.
Quick aside. Were you also incredibly annoyed with the camera operating on that blocked field goal? I need someone to explain to me how he didn't house that.
He got run down by the kick. Did he get run down by the kicker?
They didn't show it. They switched to a camera that was just looking at the Vikings coach, Kevin O'Connell, on the sideline.
Oh, in the middle of the run back, yes.
In the middle of the run back.
The middle of
show it.
They splashed it, yes. So you don't know what's going on. The other one that was driving me crazy, I think it was the run back that got called for a penalty, and we got that low camera angle.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What the hell's going on?
I can't see anything. Like, this camera angle is awful. Like, I'm down on the field. They put a GoPro on one of these players? Like, yeah. I can't see anything.
Except I'm like the shortest player in the field. I can't see what's going on.
Like, no, they got a GoPro strapped to this guy's knee. Like, it's on a knee pad. I can't see anything out there, man. Let's just get the regular camera. Like, just leave me alone. Give me my regular camera angle. Oh my God, the Packers are making me grumpy. But let's just wrap up the offense, Dad. Coaching, right? Number one problem with this team. Number one problem with this team is coaching. No one is prepared every week. Every week they're not prepared. And every week they don't know the plays. They don't know the plays on the opening script. They don't know the technique. They don't know who they're supposed to block. And we've said it a million times. It's coaching. It's coaching. And I don't know what you do, because I feel like LaFleur has too much cachet to fire him. I mean, if they don't win another game this year, I think he's fired. But what do you think the minimum number of games he could win total in the course of the season, including the 2 they already won, to keep his job? I think if they win 4 games, he's safe.
Yeah, I'm going to say, I think if he only wins 1 more, he could get fired. But 4, he might still save his job. But it kind of depends. If they kind of luck into 2 crappy wins and they still have people blowing assignments through the end of the season, I don't know. I mean, the roster, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the roster. Let's say they had won that Broncos game, so they have 1 more win, but they still played it the same, except the Broncos missed the field goal. Everything else happened the same, and they just missed the field goal.
I think, when you are at the end of the season, no one remembers how you won those games, really.
Well, the people making decisions should.
Yeah, but they'll be like, you won that one when you shouldn't have, but you lost the Falcons game when you shouldn't have. So those even out. It's kind of one of those. But it's like the Saints won. They won the Saints game. They shouldn't have won that game. Saints just missed a kick. That was the and everyone here's the exact situation that you're talking about. They should have lost that Saints game. They missed the kick. Everyone talks about, oh, what an amazing comeback. They should have lost that game.
Yep. Yeah.
But everyone talks about how great a win that Saints game was when it happened.
But I sure hope that if the rest of the season plays out like that, and they get to 4 wins because they get 2 lucky wins they shouldn't have had, but otherwise play like crap all game, and they squeak out a win because of luck. You shouldn't. As a decision maker, shouldn't be given too much credit. As opposed to winning 4 games and, they're starting to move the ball up and down the field. Love is slinging around. People are starting to – they win their last 2 games because they know their assignments. They're making blocks, completing passes, and moving the ball. What kind of
fantasy land are you living in? There is no chance in hell that is happening.
Well, of course not. But that's what – I think there's a difference between 4 wins like that, which we don't think is going to happen, and 4 wins because you get 2 more Saints wins.
I'd take a Saints win at this point. I'd take it.
Yeah, it'd be a lot more fun.
Yeah, it's all bad. Let's move to the defense, though.
Or we win because we're facing quarterback 4, like we're going to be this coming week against the Rams. I'm
here to tell you, I don't think the Packers that line is going to shrink. I don't think they should be favored by 3. I know Stafford probably won't play. I've watched these Packers play. They're going to find a way to do nothing in the first half. And hey, this game is going to be unwatchable. Did you know? So the other I think the Sunday night game is Raiders Jets. It's either this Sunday or next Sunday. I can't remember.
I think it's not this Sunday. It's next 12th, Sunday. I think.
Raiders Jets. Man, what's going to be worse? The Packers Rams with Brett Rippon in at quarterback for the Rams, or Raiders Jets? Which of these games is going to suck harder?
I want to know what the over. Sorry, I'm losing it. Oh man, what the over/under is on points in the first half
for Rams Packers?
Yes,
3-0. 3. Actually, we're gonna throw a pick 6. It's gonna be 7-0. That's gonna be the score at half. This team is bad. This team is not good.
Yeah. So the combined offensive output for the 2 teams is going to be -7.
Yeah, and I'm sorry, everyone, for coming off as very negative, but the team's not good. I don't there are some positives, in the second halves of games statistically, over the course of this season, not in this Vikings game, and that's why I think we're especially negative, because the Vikings game was very bad all the way around. In the second half of games on the season, they're actually a pretty good offense somehow. It doesn't feel like it necessarily when you watch them. It looks like they're just borderline they're showing competence, which is like such a change of pace from the first half that it feels like great offense. But second half games, they're actually a pretty good offense, and at times the young receivers look good, and Jordan Love has a couple flashes here and there, and Zach Tom's playing great mostly on the year, and like if you're looking for positives, you can find them, but the point is you got to really look for them. You got to really look for them, and for the most part, it's
or you have to lower the bar for what a positive is.
That's also true. It's like our quarterback is sometimes like making some nice throws. Like
we're counting plays that don't even count.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But
we'll call it process. We're looking for not necessarily outcomes, but
I just want them to not look worse every week. They're looking worse every week. Every week it's worse. Every week they're more lost. I'm just happy, let's just move on to the defense. The defense is not as bad as the offense, but it's not good. It's not good at all. And especially, like, considering the fact that the expectations for the defense were a lot higher, like, they're low 20s in, like, every single metric. Like, DVOA, EPA per play, success rate, they're, like, 25th or lower in all of those stats right now. I had them up earlier, and I lost them. But they struggled in this game. Since we're specifically breaking down the Vikings game, we'll talk about this Vikings game in particular. Let's talk about what they're saying. This quote's from Rashan Gary. Figured it made sense with him, coming off the extension. They were asking him about, like, frustration essentially on defense, and he said, quote, "Our goal and our job is to win. So when you don't win, it's kind of down. But when you understand the guys that we have in this organization, just understanding the ins and outs of this whole team, it makes it fun to come to work. It makes us eager and hungry. We know we got an opportunity next Sunday to win." And that's why you pay that guy, because when you watch that clip and you actually listen to him talk, like, he is still 100% effort, and he, like, is still, like, excited to come in and practice this week. I don't know how, but he is. Let's talk about the defense, Dad. There are some good things for the defense in this game. The red zone defense was pretty good. 2 of 4 in the red zone is quite solid. They forced one turnover, which puts them to 6 on the year. So more than they were averaging a game so far. So there's that. Run defense was quite good. They held the Vikings running backs to just 2 yards a carry, which is great. They did allow the Vikings to get their first rushing touchdown of the year, which, not great, but
I knew that was coming when they said the Vikings don't have a single rushing touchdown this year. It's like, guaranteed.
Yeah, but they were due. I don't think that indicates that they were bad, like, playing.
No, it's just one play
against the run. It's just one play. But I think the run defense was pretty good in this game. I know the Vikings run offense is bad. I think they were 22nd when we did the preview in I think DVOA. I think it was. I go back and check our preview pod. We talked about it. And then Preston Smith had a really nice game. 5 pressures, 2 sacks, 3 stops, and a forced fumble. Is a great game from Preston, like a 92 PFF grade. Pass breakup to when they were trying to throw to Hawkinson. So he was, I think, easily their best player on the day. We'll talk about later when we talk about player of the game. He was my player of the game. But there was some good stuff on defense. A lot more good stuff on defense than on offense. But still not a great game from the defense. Dad, what do you have for positives for the defense?
So TJ Slayton had a really nice game. 9 tackles with 7 stops and 1 hurry, with an average depth of tackle of only 0.3.
Well, he had He had 2 like 7-yard lost tackles. Like, he was way up in the backfield on a couple of those.
I guess you might say, I think Wooden may have beat that in this game with 1 tackle, so it doesn't really. And besides that, the only D line to match that this year is Wyatt in week 4. But he only had 3 tackles and 3 misses, so they're not counting in his depth of tackle average.
Yeah. I just want to add, since you mentioned Wyatt, he had a nice game in this one as well. And he's quietly actually putting together a pretty good season.
Yeah. And so Slayton's overall run defense grade by PFF was 82.7. That's the best run defense grade by any D lineman this year, beating Slayton's own week 1 grade of 81.4.
Any D lineman for the Packers, to be clear.
Yes. 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 The defense also got the ball back a couple of times in the fourth quarter to give the team a chance to cut the lead to a single score, including a forced fumble. So while they're trying to come back, they forced a field goal attempt and got the block, got a fumble recovery, and forced a punt. the kind of clutch stops we've been begging for, and you have to make a comeback that we just don't seem to get very often. Of course,
it's perfectly non-complimentary football. It's like
you can only get one of these at a time, but
yes.
you're not guaranteed to get one of either. But you won't get both.
I don't know if it's that as soon as one unit starts playing good, the other one starts playing bad, or if it's like as soon as one unit starts playing bad, the other one starts playing well. I don't know if it's chicken or the egg, but they will never be playing well at the same time this season. It seems like but the defense was not the problem in this game. They were actually pretty good in this game, but for the most part,
they weren't perfect.
They weren't perfect either. There were certainly some negatives. I mean, they kind of just let the Vikings hold the ball a ton. And I know it's hard when the offense is out there for like 38 seconds of possession, it seems like. But at the same time, like they were just kind of letting the Vikings move the ball up and down the field all day. The Vikings averaged 8.7 plays and 52 yards per drive over 7 drives where Kirk Cousins played. Kirk Cousins got knocked out late in this game, unfortunately, with a torn Achilles.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Really
I saw it when I saw it, I was like, what happened? I just, I saw the tackle, then the replay, it's like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
Non-contact injury. It's like, that didn't look good.
No. And
it wasn't.
But yeah,
and he's out for the year.
But they let him 52 yards per drive in 7 drives where Kirk Cousins played, and the shortest drive was 20 yards, and it was because they started the Packers 20. And so it's like, yeah,
and they did
a touchdown.
And it was also only one. It was also only one play.
Yeah, it was also one play. Yeah, exactly. Very nice and short. But
they held him to one play.
Exactly. So they were moving the ball up and down on the Packers, and the Packers' third down defense was really miserable in this one. The Vikings with Kirk Cousins, so I took out the Jaron Hall ones, were 10 of 15 on third downs with Kirk Cousins in the game. Technically, it's 9 of 15, but I'm including the roughing the passer as a conversion because Packers gave it up. So I'm counting it. So 10 of 15. And according to Jacob Morley, the Packers gave up 9 first downs in 3rd and 8+ situations in this game.
Yeah, and I think I heard somebody say that was the most by any team this year on third down conversions for that long or more.
I can't imagine what would have to happen for someone to have more of them. I mean, to even have that many 3rd and 8+ situations, and then to give up 9 of them, 9 3rd and 8+, and you're not. And one of them, it was 3rd and 9. They gave up 8 yards. And they had 4th and 1, and they decided to coward kick a field goal and missed it. It was the field goal.
I was like, thank you so much for going for that field, even if they got the field goal. And then they missed it. Was just like the cherry on top of that.
Kevin O'Connell
give us a chance to the game.
Kevin O'Connell did the same thing last week versus the Niners and almost cost them the game.
Who is it who has like the coward index? Because that's got to be up there, up to the top, especially against the Packers.
We're not
4th and short defense
on 4th and 1. Just push. Oh, can we? I just want to share a little conversation my dad and I had before this game. He was asking why we don't do the brotherly shove, and I had to stare at him and ask him when he has ever seen the Packers' offensive line get even an
right.
Inch
We can just use
push.
you can use that surge. Get that surge we always get at the goal line
because we get such a good push from the O line. We're definitely going to get a yard on a tush push. Yeah. I was telling you, it'll be like pushing Jordan Love full speed into a brick wall.
Yeah, you had a name for it, too.
I said we call it the cheese squeeze.
Because you get crushed.
You get crushed in there. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, but 4th and 1, they could have called any play in the book and probably gotten it, honestly. And they were getting whatever they wanted on 3rd down, though. But, yeah, so the defense, the numbers look okay. They made plays. And they gave the offense opportunities to win the game, which, that's more – that's enough, it's not good, but they gave the offense chances.
They gave the offense chances. Even though they weren't perfect, they were able to get the ball back in the offense's hands to have some chances. But it wasn't perfect. Coverage also wasn't good. Passer rating, so by the defensive backs, the only person who had a really great coverage grade was Preston. Blake breaking up a pass to Hawkinson at the goal line. But so when you complained about Preston dropping in coverage, he was the only one who was covering well.
Yeah.
But so the defensive back passer rating against for this game, Jair gave up 144.3 into his coverage. Owens, 138.5. Douglas, 118.8. Nixon, 95.8. Ford wasn't targeted playing. He was playing mostly deep, so I guess he had a good day. Only 3 total pass breakups. 1 by Nixon, 1 by Douglas, and 1 by Campbell. The Vikings' 3 most targeted pass catchers. Osborne caught 8 of 10 for 99 yards. Hawkinson, 6 of 9 for 88 yards and a TD. Addison, 7 of 8 for 82 yards and a TD.
There was a stretch in that game, in one drive, where they just threw it to Osborne 4 straight times. I was like, is anyone going to guard this dude? Like, they're just throwing it to him 14 yards down the field, like 3 plays in a row. Like, they're at the 8 now. Like, are we going to stop this play? They're spamming it.
Yep. And the other thing that hurt, like giving up a touchdown on the very first play after the interception, that always hurts.
Yeah.
You don't even make him work for it.
Not even a little. And that was the one to Addison?
Addison. That's the one that Addison just ran right by Jair.
He's just he just shouldn't be playing. Yeah. He's clearly not healthy. And I know he wants to be out there, but it just it's not doing anything for anyone. Yeah. And
then another mental error penalty. This time I'm calling out the one on Enagbare, roughing the passer.
That was on Gary.
Well, that was the 3rd down conversion. That was roughing the passer on Gary. There was an earlier one on Enagbare where he just comes and gives him like a hip check.
Oh, yeah.
After the play's over. It's like mind-bogglingly stupid. It's like the play's over. You're not making a play on the ball. You're not doing anything besides just deciding to bump into him.
What if I told you
when nothing else is going on?
What if I told you Enagbare also
315 yards?
What if I told you Enagbare also leads the league in special teams penalties? Would that help?
It would track, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just another mind-bogglingly brainless penalty.
Yeah.
Undisciplined. There should be like the coaching staff needs a little bit more of a heads are going to roll if anybody does anything this stupid again.
Well, that's the thing is like, so we talked all about the coaching staff has struggled. The players are getting worse every week. The coaching staff is not developing them. The players are getting lost almost every other play. The coaches are not teaching the plays and the scheme correctly. The players are missing their assignments. So not only are they not knowing what the actual play call is, like whether pass versus run, they don't know their assignments within the play itself, even when they do know the play. So, and then on top of all of that, we haven't even touched on, just like we talked about a little bit, but lack of discipline. Like, they're the most penalized team in the league. So it's everything, and they're never prepared, and they don't play tough, and they have so many drops, and it's so bad. And yeah, you have anything else you want to talk about on defense, or should we wrap this up and talk about special teams?
I think that kind of wraps that up.
Special teams is bad too. 3 more special teams penalties today. They now lead the league in special teams penalties with 14 per PFF. This is your weekly reminder that Rich Bisaccia is the highest paid special teams coordinator in the NFL. They have 14 special teams penalties per PFF. The next highest is at 12. And keep in mind that 20 teams have not had their bye yet. This is not special teams penalties per game. This is total. And the Packers have played 1 less game than 20 teams in the NFL. And they have 2 more than the next highest. So, just keep that in their mind. Dallin Levitt, another penalty today on special teams. How is the only thing you're here for special teams, and you have now you've been flagged 3 times, which is second most in the league, and all you're here to do is play special teams. It's the only thing you're here to do. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's bad. It's bad.
So I'd say about special teams, at least they got a field goal blocked kick by Carl Brooks to keep hope alive for a little while.
Yeah, and that was nice. They've had a couple block kicks. Carlson missed one, but it didn't count, which is cool, I guess.
I know. They got bailed out, so they didn't get shut out because they.
Yes,
and the team's walking off the field. The refs are like, "Oh wait, you guys have another chance." It's like, no, we need to go to the locker room.
Yeah, they should have just let us go to the locker room. They should have just let us stay in the locker room, not come out for the second.
And then especially they almost gave up a big return to the Vikings as well, except bailed out by a hold on that play.
Yeah, and man, it's just because they did get bailed out on that hold, and I remember thinking it's like, wow, something went our way. Impossible. but yeah, yeah, I don't really have anything else to say. Do you want to just wrap this thing up and talk about our players of the game?
There's not really much more I want to say about special teams. It was fine. I guess. Well, I mean,
it's not though.
No, that wasn't really. You had missed field goals on both teams. Big return.
You get the block. You commit 3 penalties. Like they've invested a lot in the special teams unit. Like Eric Wilson had a penalty in this game. He's pretty much just there for special teams. Donald Levitt had a special teams penalty. He's only here for special teams. They're bringing in guys who are purely special teams guys, and they still are undisciplined and don't know the rules and aren't. It's just bad. It's just bad. But yeah, to wrap things up, player of the game, I had Preston Smith. He had a really good game. Like we said earlier, 5 pressures, 2 sacks, and 3 stops and a forced fumble. Only turnover forced by the Packers in the day. He was a pretty easy choice for me. Who did you have?
I had another defensive player. I had TJ Slayton for the reasons we talked about him, like the 9 tackles, 7 stops in a hurry, and really basically tackling everybody at or behind the line of scrimmage. They had a fantastic game.
Yeah. But yeah, this has been the Father Son Packers podcast. Just to wrap things up, team is bad. They're not just bad; they're really hard to watch. They're not fun to watch. I was telling my dad, I was telling you that I think this might be one of the least fun teams to watch in the past decade, in terms of the fact that the offense, just to start, the offense is never on the field. They're losing time of possession all the time. The offense is having 1-minute drives while the defense is letting the other team keep the ball for 7 minutes a drive, 52 yards a drive, 9 plays a drive. So number 1, offense is never on the field, and no one wants to just sit and watch their own defense get marched on. Number 2, when the offense is on the field, they're committing mistakes and penalties that are the kind that just make you want to rip your hairs out. Tons of drops, tons of holds, tons of just not knowing what the play is, tons of just guys not turning at the right time, people off not on the same page, love missing guys, the type of offense that's painful to watch, and they got to be one of the least fun brands of football to watch. I saw people Vikings analysts and Vikings writers talking about how just hard to watch the Packers were. And they sounded like they were feeling sorry for us. That's how bad it's gotten. And I don't really know I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know what the solution is. You can make marginal changes, and I think things can get better. Matt LaFleur mentioned that the left tackle position is an open competition coming in this week. I think putting Nyman there would be an improvement. It's not going to fix 90% of the problems with this team. It might fix 1 or 2 things, but it's not going to fix most of it. I could say, that maybe they should. I don't even know if they should move play calling, because I don't think anyone else on this staff really has any kind of resume that would make you think they're going to be any better at play calling. I don't know what the fix is. I don't think there really is one. I think this is kind of the fate we're consigned to for the rest of this season, unfortunately. And I hate to say that because it sounds so pessimistic, but it's just hard to see avenues for improvement here unless Love takes a big step, the offensive line, you put Nyman in and the run game gets fixed. And then I'm spin zoning. I'm right there. We're right there. The young receivers start to click a little and they actually make catches. A lot of things need to get fixed at once for this team to be even average.
So here's what if you want to say for a little bit of hope, it's the question is, how many weeks of practice does it take for these young players to learn what they're supposed to do? So that maybe the hope is everybody's screwing up because nobody knows what they're supposed to do, and they just need more time. And I'm not saying this. I'm not saying this is going to happen.
I know.
If you want to say there's any hope, maybe it takes them another 8 weeks.
It's somehow though that they're worse
to actually learn what they're supposed to do. It does not help that they're getting worse that they're getting worse as the season goes on. Is not encouraging.
Yeah.
But you might say that in another 6 weeks of practice and learning, that they may actually, because they're all young, they're making mistakes because they don't know what they're supposed to do yet. They haven't quite learned yet, and so there's a chance that they'll learn.
There is, yeah.
So that's my only. That's the only thing I say. There's if there's a ray of light coming through the boulders that are piled up on top of us. That's going to be it.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you so much for everyone for listening. We didn't even do any pitches at the beginning. I was so eager to just start screaming. If you like what you hear here today, come give us a follow on Twitter at FatherSonPacker. We tweet out when we have new episodes, articles we find interesting, pieces of Packers news, statistics we find interesting from games or leading up into games. And if you like what you hear even more, come come subscribe to us on your podcast platform of choice, whether that's Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. We even put all our episodes out on YouTube, so if you want to listen to them there, you can. And if you subscribe to us there, we'd really appreciate it because it really help our numbers. But yeah, tough time in Titletown. It's just hard because it's getting worse every week, but we're going to keep being here. We're going to keep watching. We're going to watch every game. We're going to rewatch every game, unfortunately. We're going to be doing 2 episodes a week for the rest of the season, and we're going to be doing 1 episode a week all off season. We are going to be here no matter what, as Kylian Mbappe once said. But Dad, until the pregame later this week for the Packers game against the Rams, we're going to let our listeners get going now. And until next time, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.